President Trump, and I was there. I was literally negotiating between the White House and Congress. The president had me here, and then I would go across the street and speak to Speaker Pelosi. Speaker Pelosi would tell me to go back to the White House. So I was negotiating between the White House and Congress on this. There was a great deal. President Trump even surprised me with the number of dreamers. He increased it ×2. He went from 800,000 to 1.6 million dreamers. Pastor Sam, we're going to give dreamers a pathway to citizenship as long as I get my wall and protect the border and stop all illegal immigration. And I went back to the speaker. We negotiated something, and then Chuck Schumer came along and said, we're not going to give President Trump a win. Do your due diligence on this. It's been extensively covered.
I want to shift to immigration because that's sort of how you got on my radar. So there's obviously a lot going on at the southern border right now. I'll just sort of give you a vague question here, which is how should we be thinking about what's going on here? Because it's getting very, very difficult to even understand what's remotely true, meaning, okay, did Obama start the cages and are the cages worse because of Trump and then they got better and now it's like everything feels like just such a mess.
So I can give you, not anecdotally, but I can give you from being involved since George W. Bush. I worked with the Bush administration matter as an advisor. I worked with Karl Rove directly, and I worked with Obama for 8 years on this matter, and I worked for President Trump on this matter and other matters, by the way. So here it is. Wow. This is chaotic on multiple levels. Let me lay it out for you. We have the ability to solve this. We can solve this. The immigration crisis is just the outcome of political expediencies on both sides of the aisle. George W. Bush had a great proposal, should have passed, didn't pass. A couple of people from the Republican side put a halt on that, and that's a shame. During the Obama administration, President Obama made healthcare a priority, sacrificed immigration, and that's a shame. And he had 2 years, by the way, to do it, where he had control of both.
He could have done whatever he wanted.
Boom. So this is the fault of, again, healthcare trumps immigration. President Trump, and I was there. I was literally negotiating between the White House and Congress. The president had me here, and then I would go across the street and speak to Speaker Pelosi. Speaker Pelosi would tell me to go back to the White House. So I was negotiating between the White House and Congress on this. There was a great deal. President Trump even surprised me with the number of dreamers. He increased it ×2. He went from 800,000 to 1.6 million dreamers. Pastor Sam, we're going to give dreamers a pathway to citizenship as long as I get my wall and protect the border and stop all illegal immigration. And I went back to the speaker. We negotiated something, and then Chuck Schumer came along and said, we're not going to give President Trump a win. Do your due diligence on this. It's been extensively covered. So what do we do now? Right now in the border, we have a crisis. Guess what? The cages were built by President Obama's administration.
Yeah, it's just a fact.
It's just a fact. They were from the Obama administration. That's a matter of fact. Even the pictures that were used against President Trump were from the Obama administration. Yeah. So that's a lie that became not truth, that was perceived to be truth by mass media. Currently, right now, they're in the same places that President Biden and Kamala Harris spoke against in every single debate. They are actually putting young men and women, boys and girls, in the same identical places. I kid you not. The same identical facilities with the same identical conditions.
It actually seems far worse. Aren't they more packed now?
It is. It's way more packed, and I should know. I've traveled to these centers. I've been there. I've interviewed Custom Border Patrol agents. Many of them attend our churches. So I even did some sidebars. I went, hey, guys, tell me the truth. Just as people of faith, please tell me the truth. Off the record, they went, hey, Pastor Sam, we're not like setting this up to try to convince you of anything. This is the reality. So I've been there. The reality is right now under the Biden administration, there is a greater crisis than ever during the Trump administration as it pertains to children coming in. It is tragic. I mean, the stories are heartbreaking. Babies, toddlers. We're talking about toddlers. Yeah. It's as a pastor and as a dad, it's heartbreaking to see the images. And this is because the Biden administration gave a wink and a nod for people to come over. They did. They can't deny it. They did. And now we're reaping the consequences. But there is a solution. And here it is. Here's the proposal. Number one, we need to secure our border. We're a sovereign nation open borders doesn't work. Open borders invites sex trafficking. The drug cartels, they are smiling. The cartels are smiling right now. This idea, this notion is so anti-American. And as a pastor committed to ending human and sex trafficking, I repudiate what's currently taking place at the border. We need to secure the border. Stop all illegal immigration. We want people coming here legally, not illegally. And we can't have it both ways. We can't permit more people coming here illegally, breaking the law, and then we're telling people they must wear masks. Which is it?
Right.
So there's a segment of society that has to adhere to the law. Yet there's a group of individuals that don't have to adhere to or obey the law. That lack of continuity subconsciously creates a construct which leads to behavior that produces chaos and anarchy, a lack of coherency, right? So we have to make up our minds. Let's protect the border, stop illegal immigration, and we can do it even not just through a physical wall, infrared technology, satellite imaging. Come on, we could read the license plate from a car in Afghanistan from a satellite. We can stop thousands crossing over the Rio Grande with backpacks. So we have the technology to do it. Let's do that. Let's stop all illegal immigration. The second thing we must do is get the dreamers on a pathway to become citizens, just the dreamers now. Because I still believe the kids should not pay for the sins of their parents. Some of your audience would disagree with that. I just find it to be logical. If you were brought over when you were 3, 4, 5 years old, I mean, come on.
Right, and now you're 20 years old. Are you kicking these people out of the country?
Yeah, and you grew up here. You don't even speak Spanish. You know, you grew up in our educational system. Let's find a pathway as long as you're not involved in nefarious activities. You're not involved in gangs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's have these individuals become citizens. But their parents, that's where I differ, where I'm even maybe too conservative for some of my friends on the right. I don't think that the parents who came here illegally should ever become citizens.
So what do you do with them?
There's a price to pay. We give them a green card. So this is what we do. If you're not living off government entitlement, if you're not living off welfare, and I know that you're probably using false Social Security numbers. That is a crime. You know, you're going to have to recognize the fact that you broke the law, that you have been breaking the law. You should be paying some fines, but you've been here for 20, 25 years working, and some of these individuals are some of the hardest working individuals I know. I live in California, so that's just true. I'm just speaking truth to power. And they attend our churches. Some of the most beautiful people on the planet. They should have come here legally, by the way. All right. Did that ship sail? Yes, but there's a price to pay. We're going to give you a green card. Stay in America. You no longer have to fear being deported, but you're never going to become a citizen. There's a price to pay. How in the world can we compensate people that came here illegally with citizenship? For crying out loud, when there are people waiting in line legally in nations attempting to come into this country the right way, it's just wrong. So my proposal, which I gave to President Trump, and I gave it to a number of senators that are just close friends. I said, here's the proposal. I call it a just integration solution. And I think the vast majority of Americans would embrace this. And matter of fact, I know because we did some polling and they actually would, including members of the Freedom Caucus, the most conservative individuals, to say that sounds fair. That sounds fair.
All right, there's a lot of different ways we could go here. So what do you think the wink that you're talking about, the Biden administration wink, what do you think it really is all about? So if they're telling, because they're kind of like, don't come, maybe come in a few weeks, you can kind of come. But what do you think they're actually trying to accomplish with the wink? Are they trying to get all these people there? And do they have any intention of actually doing what you said, which is we've got to secure a border and it's the right of every sovereign nation to do so?
Now, I don't think, and I say this with great due deference, I don't think the current administration has any viable commitment. It's not, I can't measure it. If you can't measure it, and it's not legit as it pertains to this outcome, I don't see any sort of evidence that this administration is committed to protecting the sovereignty of America. None. There are many open border operatives that come from the hard ideological left. And right now, unfortunately, they seem to have the ear of our president. And it is unfortunate. It is. So I think the objective is there's twofold. There are those, and I can't judge everyone across the board. I'm looking at political outcomes. There is a group of individuals that really, with a great heart, would love to see America, emerge as the phrase on the Statue of Liberty, the place of refuge and hope for people that are broken around the world. But that's utopia. we can't open up for the entire world. We just don't have the bandwidth. We're not the New Jerusalem if you're an evangelical or a Christian. You know, this is not heaven. This is not the new earth, whatever you want to call it in your theological worldview. We're not there. So we can't. We have to protect our borders. The second thing is, and this seems a little bit more complicit, but I know this from conversation with leadership on the hard left, there is an attempt to change America with more voters. Mm-hmm. There is, and it sounds, oh, that's just wild, Sam. No, it isn't. Yeah. Again, some people are doing it with good intentions, yet Pollyanna-ish, a bit of an utopic sort of worldview. And then there are some that have a more, I would call it, wicked sort of imperative, which is, let's change the demographical landscape to such a degree that we're going to secure power for generations to come. That's wicked, because you're dealing with human lives, beautiful people created in the image of God that are seeking a better day. We want them to do it legally. I believe immigrants are a blessing and not a burden if they come here legally. But I believe it is wicked and morally reprehensible to use human beings as political pawns.
So did you get any sense that Trump just could not, or I guess this is the sense you got, Trump just could not get anything done because no matter what he was going to offer, that at the end, even if Pelosi kind of nodded to it, Schumer was going to blow it up? Or I don't even have to blame Schumer, but just that the machine was just going to say, we're not going to give the guy a win. Sure, he's going to double the amount of Dreamers, but we're not going to give him a win on the wall. And this is just how bad politics is.
That deal was one of the best deals that I've seen since working on this since 2006. It really was. And I met with POTUS, with President Trump on this. And I met with General Kelly, Secretary Nielsen back then. And I was blown away. I'm going like, what just happened? Like, what? And his commitment, amazing. And even when President Trump would speak to Hispanic Americans, to Latino Americans, he would repeat that. And I'm going, whoa, this is not part of the collective sort of media exacerbated narrative of a racist president. It's not. I mean, which is it, right? And what he offered was a great deal that should have, and again, the Democrats have said no, because we can't give him a win with the Latino community, and we can't give him a win on immigration. I mean, that just destroys our narrative. And it's a shame because, again, they're playing politics with human lives.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.